Mike Douglas is Michigan's retirement coach.
And I'm Heather Branch here with Mike talking about things you can be working on now in effort to help you better prepare for your financial future. LifePlanWealth.com is our website and where you can go to begin your own conversation with Mike and his team. We also have links posted in the show notes, so you can click there as well. Or again, the website, LifePlanWealth.com. All right, so you apparently, I think you're probably... First of all, the one thing I will say about the whole Taylor Swift thing with the Kansas City Chiefs, have you ever been into something and you knew about it and you loved it, and then all of a sudden it became cool according to the industry standards, and then like everybody else gets on board and you're all just mad? Like, I know. I feel like the Chiefs fans are like, we knew.
We knew it before it's cool. Yeah.
Right.
Go ahead with what you're saying. I got a great follow-up to it, but go ahead with what you're saying.
No, I want you to tell me if you concur or not, because I believe that the Chiefs fans are like, well, welcome to the party 5 minutes late, Taylor Swift. And listen, I love Taylor Swift and I love the match, all these things, so I'm not hating on it. I just think it's funny that now all the attention is, I mean, he's got 2 Super Bowl rings and now here comes all the attention.
There's a great trend right now on social media, and the trend is women telling their significant other, husband, boyfriends, whatever, going and saying, hey, isn't it so great what Taylor Swift did for that football player?
No.
And they're like, what's that now? They're like, oh, they dated some guy. He was a nobody. And now that Taylor Swift's dating him, he's getting on like commercials and stuff. Like she took his career
before she showed up.
Right. And so it's this great trend. And they're mocking the husbands because then the husbands blow up. They're like, are you kidding me? He's been a Super Bowl champ 2 times over. One of the best tight ends of all. And they go off, right?
Okay.
So that was the initial trend. And then there's this counter trend. Not as funny, but it's still effective sometimes, where they go, hey, did you hear about this country singer? And they go, who's the country singer? It's this, I don't know, some country chick, but she's dating Travis Kelce now. And literally, she was like about to quit music. And she starts dating this football player. All of a sudden, she's starting to do stadiums. Like, she's really taken off. It's so cool to see someone jump on the coattails of an athlete, and like really how he lifted her up.
Just people just throwing shots across bows, being fired all across the internet.
It's a great trend. Yeah, absolutely. Because like there's a great, and like obviously they're both wrong now net worth wise. Taylor's doing real well.
But he is not. That's what I mean. I like the match because he's got 2 Super Bowl rings. You know, a lot of people that she stated before are not to her. They don't have their own thing going on as much.
It's like Giselle Bundchen and Tom Brady were.
I know, but look what happened to them. Don't say things like that. I want this one to work out.
Okay. First of all, she has to put out an album every 6 months to a year, which means she needs someone to hurt her. Every 6 months to a year.
That's right. It's doomed. It's doomed.
The parody songs are already coming out. Like all of the funny lines about football, and like she using a bunch of football terms to be like, you wanted a first down, I wanted whatever. It's like it's all this really funny stuff, And so and for now it's just halftime because I'm not going to say the game's over. Like all this stuff. Like it's so funny.
Time will tell. I'm
here for it.
I'm going to hold on to hope.
I just like football to still be about football. That's my cranky old-timer sentiment. When I'm watching a football game, it's cool if she wants to come, and they can show her at the start, whatever. Just not every single time something happens.
Okay. Well, I will say about Mr. Kelce is that he definitely has longevity on his side, because when it comes to people that are really at the top of their game, I feel like rarely do you hear about a player who's in his 30s. He's one of the best tight ends in the NFL. Travis Kelce with the Kansas City Chiefs, in case you didn't know exactly who we were talking about.
He's dating that country singer.
And he's dating that country singer. Oh, my God. The Swifties are going to come for us, Mike. Please. No.
She's not country.
She is Taylor Swift. She's above genre.
That's right.
So he is definitely older by the standards of pro football players as they go, just turning 34, and had this to say about his recent birthday.
I'm very fortunate to get to 34, man, and to be able to do what I love. It's an appreciating day, as much as everybody wants to make it about me. I just see how much family and friends that I have around me. And I'm always reflecting on how appreciative I am of, the people around me. I grew up with a great community. I grew up with a great group of friends that I'm still close with. And on top of that, we grabbed a lot of good ones along the way.
See, I like him. He's well-rounded. He seems grounded.
Yeah.
He just turned 34. And it's interesting that while that is the current age of another receiving icon who you may know. We were just talking about Tom Brady, one of the greatest bromance in NFL history.
Yes.
Rob Gronkowski, Gronk. He himself retired 2 years ago. This is just what I was saying, is that Travis is really in the throes of his career. Gronk's already retired. So when it comes to football, for certain, age doesn't really seem like a rule for when somebody retires. But when it comes to the rest of us, average Americans, and figuring out when can we retire, how do you determine that? How do you answer the question, now I'm ready to retire?
There's a lot that goes into it. And really it depends on, one of the things is what caused you to retire. And I have this conversation with my boys because I'm like 8 months older than LeBron James, I think.
Oh, really?
So, and they're like, man, LeBron is so old. Can you believe he's still playing? I'm like, you're grounded. Shut it, But it's like in the sports world, it's amazing how you say, man, he's made it to 39 years old.
Yeah.
Isn't that impressive? And I'm like, anywhere else in the world, if you said, man, he retired at 39, good for him for hanging on so long, I think a lot of people doing physical labor, working in the mines till they're 60. Be like, no, I'm glad he could play basketball till he was 39.
I know, right?
But it's just a matter of fulfillment. When are you ready to be done? When are you ready to transition in life? A lot of people come in, especially if they're working like with the big three or they're on contract jobs where they're a consultant, whatever. Oftentimes we start eyeballing and we say, I'll take on this one last project. But when that thing's done, I'm probably done. Other people, it's a matter of as soon as the numbers say I can go, I'm gone. Sure. And so for everybody, it's different, even with my parents, I would love for them to retire and just chill out and do nothing, but they can't seem to do that. They keep keeping themselves busy and they keep taking on new job tasks and things. And I'm very proud of them for the work they do. And at some point they'll retire, but for them, it's not today. And so everybody's got a different schedule. There's no right or wrong, but really all we try to do is we try to work through the numbers and we figure out if you can retire or when you can retire. That sometimes helps you have the freedom to work longer or the freedom to stop. So if I sit down, I think of one guy who he came to us from our Howell office and he said, I just need to know that on any given day, if I feel like it, if they talk to me wrong, or if the weather's right, I can retire. Mm-hmm. And for him, he was like, well, I might as well work the winter because the goal is to retire and spend my first couple months on my sailboat. Okay, well then as a result of that being his first goal, there's no point in retiring in November, especially here in Michigan. So he wanted to wait, and as soon as he was ready to go, he's ready to go. Everybody has a different thing, and that's part of when we kind of walk through these discussions with people and say, how far are you? Where do you sit? That's how we help these. The conversation starts with just asking some questions, figuring out what you want retirement life to look like. Because if we figure out what you want it to look like, we can figure out if you're on pace. If you don't know the destination, if you don't put the address in the GPS and the address says where I'm going, right? Like I'm driving to Florida, I'm driving to Delaware, I'm driving to California. Once your GPS knows where you're trying to get to, it can give you the best route. And it can even say, if you want to be there by 10 p.m., you need to leave here by 4, right? Mm-hmm. It'll do that. Mm-hmm. In the same way, retirement planning falls in that same thing. Okay. If we know where you want to go and what you want life to look like, mm-hmm. well, then once we know the destination and we know where you're starting, we can map out the journey and say, here's the timeline we're on. And that starts with the conversation. So if you want, when we talk to people, we say, just go to our website, lifeplanwealth.com. There's a button on there that says, start your retirement roadmap today. It's right there in the middle. You click the button. We reach out and we have a conversation. We have coffee and we talk and figure out where you are and just talk about what life's going to look like. And we ask some of those questions you don't know to ask yet, because from those questions, we can help you map out those steps to tell you when to leave, when to go, all that. And it starts with just the conversation. So lifeplanwealth.com. And once we do that, that's a great way to go from there.
I think that also I have to imagine that for a lot of folks that come to you that are seeking initial information, right? A lot of people have not sought any kind of financial advice whatsoever during their working years. They've just been working, earning, saving.
Yeah.
And I have to imagine that while a lot of people want to know when they can retire, they have a bit of fear, wondering if they can ever actually do it. Even people that have saved a couple $1 million.
Yeah. It's, and again, because we get all types of information, right. So there are things we're professionals at and things that we're very unprofessional at. You know, there are things that we do well.
Are professional at everything.
Okay. Yeah. But what happens is the things we love, we're passionate about, and we research and we spend time. You know, we always joke that I have like the weirdest podcast loves. The things I love to listen to, long format health podcasts. There's a guy named Andrew Huberman who's a clinical psychologist. I love to listen to him.
Okay.
But if you were sitting next to me listening to his podcast, you'd think we were in a lecture in a college class. But he's very interesting, and he talks about, you know, human brain development and all these things.
Okay.
And so when you enjoy those things, you relate to them, you spend a lot of time doing it. However, there's more podcasts about how to fix your car. There's more podcasts about how to fix your washing machine and drying machine. All these things you can find out there on YouTube. I don't want to watch any of them. So it's about finding the things you love and going after those things and learning as much as you can. Mm-hmm. For most people, finances are not that thing. Finances are actually one of the most avoided topics.
They're very stressful when you don't understand.
Oh, yeah.
And overwhelming. And oof.
And the number I always come back to, but it's a stat that the average person spends 40 hours a year planning their vacations and less than 3 hours planning their finances.
Yeah.
A year, 3 hours.
Yeah.
Right. And that's again, now we talk about, did you check your bank account? That's not planning. That's just making sure that you're not bouncing checks. Right. Planning says, are we on pace? What's life going to look like in the next 5 to 10 years? Do we need to make adjustments to our withholdings? All of that. Much more complicated. But really, at the end of life, why? Well, I'm excited about this vacation. I'm not excited about the thought of getting 1% less of my paycheck because I throw it in my 401k. Mm-hmm. So those are difficult ones, but having those talks and understanding the value of life, right? Like while we're doing this, not that we want you to do nothing for the next 30 years so you can do something when you're older and not quite as able, but it's more about living life right now, but still planning for the future. So we want to have a long-term view to make short-term decisions.
Right.
We don't want to have a short-term view and never make long-term decisions. We have to know where we're going. We have to have that final address. And once we have the address, we can figure out what turns and roads to take to get there. That's what retirement planning is. But it has to come from a place of back and forth. You know, if you walk in and someone goes, hey, just do this, that's it. Well, that's not good. You know, we need to have a conversation, some dialogue about what life's going to look like. What have I experienced? What has my family experienced? You know, I had one couple who I think of when they came in. They both worked as engineers, and they've had in the same company, and they've done this for a long time. And they had two completely different perspectives. She literally said, hey, as soon as I hit 30 years, I'm out of here. Well, she started there at 20 years old.
Wow.
So she hit 30 years, got her, you know, kind of that magic number for a buyout and a pension and all that, hit that magic number at 30 years, and she was out at 51 years old. Couldn't be happier. Has filled her life with so many hobbies. She bakes nonstop. She walks. She does all these things, gardens. It's great. He says, I am not looking to get out until I'm closer to 60. I just have no desire. I'm not just going to sit around. And he's 5 years older. So in his mind, he's like, all right, by the time she's 55, I'm 60. I'll retire and it'll be a good timeline.
Yeah.
And for them, it was just a matter of, even though they're doing almost identical jobs and they'd been in it for so long, they've been married a long time and all this stuff, they just had completely different thoughts about retirement.
Sure.
And so for the family side, it was just a matter of, all right, let's plan the finances, let's do the research, have the conversations. And once we know that, great. She retired when she wanted to. He retired about a year ago. And now they're both enjoying their life, traveling, doing all these things. But they were able to do it on their own terms. And it all was not because of a guess or because being afraid of talking about it, but because we went and just deal with it. You know, the hard things in life that you have to deal with, the reason they're hard is because they matter, but yet it's not what we want to do. You know, it's like going to the doctor, right? Well, I only go to the doctor when I absolutely have to. Right. But why? Like, couldn't we do regular maintenance to make sure that we don't have to go in such dire straits all the time? Things like that. So I think there's a lot of maintenance that we can do, good questions and conversations to have to avoid the major pitfalls.
And I like that GPS analogy that you mentioned a few minutes ago, because we do. I mean, I cannot remember the last time I got in my car, even when I know a route. I just want to check traffic, make sure it's the most efficient route.
I GPS to work.
Everything.
Almost every day. Yeah.
And the whole idea of using the technology, the opportunities that we have to better our lives day to day, wouldn't it be great to have a GPS, if you will, on your retirement because you can have that thanks to, again, technology advancements, all the different software opportunities that Mike and his team have and utilize in their offices, and they are ready to help you get to work building your own plan. Lifeplanwealth.com is where you can go to begin that conversation with Mike and his team. Once you get there, you're going to see a button right at the top of the page. Just click on the button that says Start Your Retirement Roadmap today at lifeplanwealth.com. We also have links posted in the show notes, so you can just click there and begin that conversation that way as well.